Hello everyone, I'm Graham Cofe. I'm going to take you through a exploration into better communication today. I hope you're really going to enjoy this. It's not going to take too long at all, probably about 40 minutes to an hour, depending on how quickly we go through this. Uh, I have some slides. I have some great information to impart from you. Let's get going. Let's do this. Um, I am going to put this, or as you might even be seeing this now, as a course within uh, the Heartbeat community that we have, a Better Way of Life community. In there, I'm going to put the resources in there as well. There's a free audit that you're going to get at the end, which you can use. I'm going to put that in there. If you want to respond to any of the exercises that I'm going to ask you to do within this, you can respond in there as well. If you're just watching this back somewhere or other, then thank you for watching. Please just communicate with me in any shape or form, whether it's WhatsApp or email or through the community as well, to ask any further questions or to share any of the things that you've learned from today that you find helpful. So I'm going to start by sharing screen. And here we go. So it's called Stop Trampling, How Your Communication is Secretly Hurting Your Business. As I say, I hope you're going to find this incredibly helpful for you and your communication in your business today. So is your communication a gentle rain? Is it just falling onto people, or is it a heavy boot? Arguably, neither of those two is particularly effective. Maybe what you want to do is land your communication with clarity. So imagine your business as a delicate, thriving garden. Are the words you use and the messages you send helpful for that garden growing, or are you digging that garden up? A lot of us are unknowingly trampling on our growth with poor communication habits, and I'm going to explore some of those today. So I've called this 60 minutes to stop your trampling and start growing. Okay. And this is the agenda for what we're going to learn. 3 major communication traps that kill efficiency and trust. Trust being the bedrock of all sales and marketing these days. It used to be back in the 80s. Do you remember? FAB, features, advantages, benefits. We got to the 90s. It became spin, and it became about solution selling. We've gone past all of that. Nowadays, people do not buy from others unless they trust first. It is about bringing people into your space, into your world, forming relationships, creating trust, and then taking people on a journey. All of that requires very good communication. Just a little bit about me and why I feel like maybe suitable for doing this. I did a degree in communication studies way back in the 90s. I also did a diploma in broadcast journalism. I've continued to study the way we communicate as people all my life. I worked for 15 odd years in workplace needs assessment, where I got to meet with and help people communicate with their organizations what their needs and wants were on a daily basis. I've also led sales teams, and my last job before I started what I do now was as a COO, where I ran the operation of an edtech. That, of course, demanded me to have great communication skills and to also think about how people communicate across an organization. So the 3 major communication traps that kill efficiency and trust. That's what we're going to start with. Then I'm going to look at my actionable framework for better communication. Excuse me, bad communication there where I stopped. And that's called COFE. Yeah, it's my name. And then I'm going to look to finish with 1 immediate fix, which will immediately improve your communication. So stay on that. So a bit of a poll between any of us that are doing this now, that's you included. On a scale of 1 to 10, how clear do you think your team clients find your communication at the moment? I see. Well, thanks for putting that answer in there. We'll come back to that later. Here's my 3 trampling traps. Vagueness, which is a clarity crisis. Are we being clear in what we are communicating? How are we communicating? Is it with clarity? If we're too vague, does anybody actually understand what we're trying to communicate? And then the other two are to do with tone. Are we understanding the emotional connections that surround communication? And are we leaving what we call silence gaps? Are we being consistent in the way that we communicate, the time period that we communicate, so that actually people don't get confused as to what's going on? So often we sabotage our own success by poor communication. Let's look at those a little bit more deeply. So the vague vortex, the clarity crisis. We've all seen it. We use corporate jargon, unclear instructions, kind of go from one subject to another when we're talking. And what does that do? It wastes time, it causes errors, and it lowers morale. Why? Because when we do not make sure that people are understanding our communication when we communicate, if we're not sure that they understand all of the language, if we not understand if all our instructions have been have landed with clarity, then people make errors. If they start to make errors, they feel that part of that is their fault. Maybe they should have understood, and that lowers morale. So let's have a look at this in an example. Let's touch base offline to synergize the Q4 deliverables. Oh my word. Or we could say, and I'm going to make it even clearer than the example, can we meet for 15 minutes tomorrow at 2 p.m? Very clear instructions to finalize the Q4 report. I could make that even clearer. Could you? We could say to finalize the report for April to May. That's all very clear. What about that emotional avalanche, the tone crisis? If we communicate under stress, we end up using passive aggressive language. So if we read something that someone's written to us, if we see something that's been communicated and we make assumptions about it and start assimilating our own thoughts on it, quite often we will communicate back. If we then feel aggrieved by it, we will then start coming back with passive aggressive language, right? We will want to know answers. We want to know why they've communicated in that way. What we always need to do is take a step back. And we need to then do that forthright in terms of when we start communicating with people. So we need to be clear in our communication to people. We need to say what we really need to say and take the time to get that right. And then, assuming that some other people haven't done this course, if they're communicating with us and maybe their message is not something we can understand properly, or maybe they've just got a different way of looking at the world from us, we need to take time to reflect on what might they mean by that and maybe ask some more questions rather than step in a passive aggressive way. Because if we do that, if we trample it, that will destroy relationships and can destroy culture. If it's within a team or if it's in a community or within a business, that can destroy culture. So a client lost due to an email that sounded annoyed rather than helpful. Someone asks you to do something, you sound a bit annoyed going back about, yeah, well, I'll do it, but or, well, what you need to think about is the way that impacts me and my business. We don't need to say it in that way. We can actually say it in a way that seems helpful. I appreciate that you're looking to do this next Wednesday, but actually, have you thought about just turning it into helpfulness as opposed to a kind of passive aggressive communication can stop us from losing that business? The silence gap. See what I did there? Inconsistent follow-up or mixed messages. Somebody sends you a message or sends you a follow-up, and then the next one is 2 weeks later, or they send you one thing and then another thing and then another thing straight off their head, and there's no consistency as to when those bits of information are coming out and when they land. There's no consistency in terms of the type of message that's landing as well. That causes confusion, delay, just like the fat controller used to say to Thomas, and it can cause a breakdown in communication. As I said there, in the absence of information as well, people will create their own. So if you're not communicating information clearly to people, one of the things that other people will do, is then make assumptions about what you are communicating. Oh, I think they mean that by that. I don't think they're interested anymore, etc. Be really clear with where you are at, what's going on with you, what's in your head, but be really respectful for the other person. We'll come back to that later when we look at Kof. Be really respectful of that, and you'll find that the communication will be so much better. And here it is, the Kof framework. Clarity, objective, audience, timing, humanity. I'm going to look at each one in turn, right? Just go through those quickly though. Clarity, make sure that you have specific deadlines and clear actions within any communication. By next Friday, I think we should make a decision on this, and what we'll do is we will send out paperwork for you, and we can look at that together. And if it's all agreed, then we'll get this project started the following week. That's really clear. It's really specific. It has very clear action to it. Objective, stated goal, ready by Friday. Again, it feeds into the same thing. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'll do that report for you. Yeah, but when? When's that happening? Oh, yeah. No, it's something I should look at. Yeah, but when are you going to look at it? Right? In all of our communication, let's try and be very specific and put those objectives into place. If you've never done a massive transformational piece and objectives and key results with me, that might be worth having a look at as well. But I do a course where we think about how are we going to meet the objectives of this business every quarter, and what key results will fit into that. You can't have clear objectives in your business if you haven't got clear objectives in your communication. Audience, friendly tone for team collaboration. That's just an example. Who is the audience in front of me? What is it that tonally that we need in order to motivate, keep people informed, and take them with me in terms of helping this communication to flow? Get that communication tone wrong and we lose the audience. So understanding the audience is key. Timing. Deadline respects workflow. What I mean by that is you need to respect the other person's timing and workflow, and you need to respect your own. If somebody in a meeting said to you, I'm really busy over the next 2 weeks, so I just need a little bit of breathing space, and then later on in a meeting you go, right, I'm going to send this over to you later today. Could you make a decision on this? What? Have you heard what they said? Right? I need to respect their timing. You need to tell people why you've got a timing. They need to explain what their timing is. You may have to compromise, but always respect each other's workflow. That also means respecting workflow in terms of how long things take for you to do. Don't agree to communicate in a particular way with a particular piece of communication in less time than it's going to take to do for you, right? If you've got to put together some notes from a meeting, create an agenda or whatever, if it's going to take you 2 days, you've got to tell people it's going to take you 2 days, and tell them why it might take you 2 days as well. Finally, humanity. Whatever you do, make sure that there is appreciation of the other person in there and empathy added on to that communication. Excuse me. So I'm going to go through Kof in a little bit more detail, and I'm going to give you some questions to think about whilst we do that. Clarity and objective. Use simple, direct language. Define actions clearly. Can this message be understood is the question for you. When you put this message, this piece of information out into the world, whichever form it's in, email, comment on a post, WhatsApp message, whatever, can this message be understood? That means you really need to think hard about who you're communicating with, the audience, what tone you're using. Are you stating your objectives in there? All of these things come together, but can this be understood? Always state the purpose or goal at the start. That's the O. The question to ask yourself there is, why am I sending this? And what do I want back? So when you send something, are you just getting it off your plate? Are you taking it out of your head? Are you putting it out there so that something happens? Or are you very clear about what it is that you want back, which means that you might need to put more effort into that piece of communication in the first place to make it clearer, to make it more understood. You might even need to find out about that person's best mode of communication in order to make sure that you get the information back that you need in order to take everything through to the next step. A&T, audience and timing. Adjust your tone and detail to your receiver. Is this for a team? Is this for a client? Is this for a partner? Is this for someone you're in a relationship with, etc.? And is this the right medium for that person? That's the question to ask there. I've alluded to it before. One of the things that we all do is we make assumptions on communication modes based upon our own preferences. Don't. Have conversations with the other person about, is this okay for you? I had it earlier today. Someone asked me, could we share a spreadsheet to organize booking of guests for a podcast? Would that work for you? That's great communication by them. I said, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. If I wasn't fine with that, because I'd struggle with that, I would say no, but I have a better idea. Why don't we do it like this? If we then clashed, we'd work on it until we found the best form of communication. But communicate how you're going to communicate. Respect people's time. And a little bit about batch communications. What I mean by that is think about the fact that the other person may not be just sat there waiting for your communication, right? How often these days do we see like throw out a WhatsApp 2 minutes later, oh, another one, then another one, then a few hours later, a few more, right? And it's all kind of random. Yeah. And then people feel overwhelmed by that, etc. And then they start, shutting that communication channel off or whatever. And the reason being is because what you're not doing is you're not actually thinking about what is that thing that I said earlier. What is it that we want to know? And is this communication going to help me find that out? So before you start sending a million messages, or before you start sending one message over here and then one message over there and another by email and another by that, think about, if this was me at the other end of this, how would I want this sent to me in order to help me respond efficiently and effectively to this communication? And a big question here, is that message urgent, or is it just important to me right now? We have to become selfless to some degree here, right? Is it just that I need to know this because it will stop me feeling less anxious, and therefore I've got to get this off this chest? Or is it actually urgent, right? And when we say to somebody, I need to know, do you really need to know? Or do you need, actually, should you be communicating with them? I find it raises my anxiety when we're discussing things to do with a project and I don't get answers back from people very quickly. How much better would that be? Now I understand why you need communication back. Now what I might go is, oh, that's fine, but actually I've got quite a busy time this week, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So I tell you what, why don't we make sure that we put all of this through to Thursday, and on Thursday I will designate time to this, and then I'm going to communicate it with you. That's going to stop you worrying about it because you're not going to think, well, I'm expecting this to happen now. You know it's going to happen on Thursday. Can you see how that two-way communication is so vital? Humanity. God, it's the big one right at the end of the word, Kof. So begin and end with respect. That's the action point. Acknowledge effort and emotion. If you sent someone a text and said, I'm 6 months clear, the cancer, I've just had the test, it's come back, I'm all clear now, and someone sends you a thumbs up, you feel devastated, right? But how often do we do that? How often do we not give respect for the emotion and the effort and the place where somebody is when they send us communication? Be respectful of where somebody is and what it has taken for this communication to happen. If someone is sharing big stuff with us, let's take the time. Don't rush to respond. Take the time to respond if need be, to make sure we give them the respect. Do unto others as you would have done to you. I know it's from the Bible, but it's a really good thing in terms of communication. Let's treat others with the kind of respect that we would want when we communicate. And make sure, does it actually sound like it came from us or a robot? One thing I am hating on things like LinkedIn at the moment is seeing comments where they're like AI driven, right? If someone's bothered to write a really decent post on a topic that you find interesting, stop and actually give worth to it. Say why it actually resonates. Show your authority as well. Actually show somebody why it was worth them doing that in the first place. Don't just go, oh, good post. So I'm going to give you this example trampling email. And then what I want you to do as a bit of an exercise is go away and rewrite this using what you have just learned to make this actually much more effective communication. So here's the example. Urgent, need update as soon as possible. Hi team, not sure what's happening with the client deliverables, but this has been dragging for weeks. We can't keep dropping the ball like this. Please get it sorted as soon as possible. I've already had to explain delays twice, and it's not a good look. Let's make sure we're all aligned in the future. G. So take a little bit of time to go and write that. This is the exercise. Rewrite the example using at least 3 of the principles from Kof. You can go back over the slides to see that. Take about 5 minutes, rewrite that, and either put that, if you're doing this course within A Better Way of Life, go and put that in where there's room to do that in the exercises, or just send me a DM with what you came up with. That would be brilliant. And I'm going to finish today with our one immediate fix. This is the double check rule. Look, getting through this much quicker than I said I was going to. Before sending, read your message out loud. Oh, and I'd say this is the same for copy and same for anything else. I learned this years ago. Double check by just reading it out loud to yourself. If it sounds rude, confusing, or too long, guess what? Rewrite it. It so helps. Sometimes we just don't know what the voice in our head is doing. All right. So just double check anything that you're about to send out there that's of any worth to any kind of relationships that are important to you by reading it out loud before you send it. I want you to take away from today a focus on mastering one Kof letter for the next 48 hours. And then over the next week, see if you can implement all the letters of Kof into your communication. I'd really love to hear from you if you've managed to do that. As it says at the bottom, I prepared for 2 or 3 questions, but given the fact you are now watching this on a recording, I won't get questions live. But what you can do is you can put those questions over to me in the platform, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. So please stop trampling, start nurturing. Your communication isn't just a function of your business, it is your business. If you don't communicate effectively these days, that's your business gone. So, in summary, avoid the 3 traps: vagueness, tone, and silence. Use the Kof framework that I've given you. And if nothing else, whenever you're communicating, use that double check rule. Read it out loud. I've put together a communication audit checklist for you. I hope you find that helpful. It's something that you can use when you're communicating to really improve the communication within your business. I've been Graham Kof, and I hope you've enjoyed today's session. If you have, then do let me know. We will be doing more of these. So bye for now.